motion to approve it?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor say yes.
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 Any opposed? Consent item number 2, consideration to set a public hearing for June 3rd to receive and consider comments regarding the adoption of the final Riverdale RDA budget for the fiscal year 2026 and amending the final Riverdale RDA budget for fiscal year 2025. Any questions about that consent item? Seeing none, we need a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion to set that public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor say yes.
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 Any opposed? That passes unanimously. We will move on to action items. Number 1, discussion and presentation regarding proposed amendment to the West Bench RDA project area budget. Mr. Cooper.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. As I mentioned in our work session, I'll be giving a short presentation. This is a public hearing scheduled for this evening, but we are not asking a vote from the board tonight. We'll have that vote in a future date after we finish up with our tech. As I mentioned, or I think I mentioned, we're still waiting for some formal appointments from some of the tech members, and that would allow the tech to vote, and then once the tech votes, then I'll bring it back to the RDA board. I'd like to welcome Mr. Adam Long. He's the agency counsel, as well as Ms. Kim Choate. She's with America First Credit Union, so we're glad they're here this evening. So as the chair of the board mentioned, we're talking about an amendment to just the budget. The project area would stay the same. This is a map of the current project area and some of the aerial images of what's been happening over the years. This project area was established in 2005. It's about 74 acres. It has a base year of 2011. It was originally set for 15 years. There was a 2 years extension based on the COVID provision that the state allowed. It's currently set for a $9 million cap with 100% participation. So the entities that participate, which is all of them, including Riverdale City, participates at 100% with no flow-through increment over that 17-year period. We did trigger the tax increment collection period this year, so that will begin, the 17-year period will begin now, unless the amendment is passed. And as I mentioned, it is governed by a taxing entity committee, which is one of the few still left over. Here's a brief outline of what I've just explained. So again, the creation year in 2005, the base year was 2011 with a $19 million base year roughly. We are still having some discussion with the county about that base year because they do have a different number. That was discussed in our September 2019 tech meeting, and we're still discussing it. So we're going to put a little asterisk around that, but right now the board and the tech has adopted the $19 million budget, and so we don't see the need to change it at this point. But I just wanted to bring that up as a caveat. As I mentioned, 15 years, originally $9 million cap, 100% participation. That was, again, amended in 2021 with the COVID extension. 2019, that trigger period was implemented to allow the agency to trigger between 2020 and 2025, which we did prior to 2025. And so we're here now as seeking an amendment because of the fact that the project has evolved over these many years. Originally, some of the activities in the project area that were envisioned have changed, and now we have a much greater vision with the America First Campus project that's being proposed. And because of that, it's clear that there's a significant lack of infrastructure to support an enlarged vision and a bigger project. And so we've developed a budget that would allow for some of that infrastructure to be paid for. We have a great partner in America First who's willing to take on that development role and see that infrastructure through. But without an infrastructure investment through tax increment, the proposed vision of this area would never come to fruition. And so we do have some of the development objectives that have carried through that project area plan. Obviously, that infrastructure investment that I've mentioned, but The strengthening of the tax base and the facilitation of skilled jobs can't be overlooked with the amount of employment that America First would bring to this area. They already bring a significant number of employees to Riverdale. Riverdale is known for our retail regional center, Riverdale Road, and all that we provide from a retail standpoint, but I'm proud to say that Riverdale has been and still is the home of America First Credit Union. And so this project would double down on that and provide the needed support to provide the infrastructure that would allow them to build a massive campus. So here are some of the key projects. Obviously, America First. There is some housing elements that are possible because of the land that is adjacent to the area that would be developed for the campus. And so there's some interesting opportunities there that could help bring folks living in the area that could potentially work at America First and create a walkable scenario. There's some opportunities for hospitality, retail, and then other commercial office that America First would not occupy. So it is a wonderful mixed-use plan in an area that has been an orchard, essentially, largely for a long, long time. This is a rendering that has been provided to us by America First. The pinkish salmon-colored areas are the areas that could be non-America First used parcels. So that's where commercial hospitality and potentially housing could go as well. Here's a rendering of phase one. You all as the city council have seen this in the form of a site plan that was approved, and now there's some work under construction to get this site plan implemented for the first building, the hillside, and the first parking structure there. Here's a list of some of the important infrastructure improvements that are necessary. Notice the cost there. That is a present value, so that's today's money. That doesn't represent the cost it would be as time goes on. It's certainly going to increase. And so the map here shows a significant portion of that in terms of the 1500 West Road being created, that new alignment, the widening, the bike lane provisions, and the recirculation of the site. This is another map that shows 1500 there, that dark line in the middle. Those pink lines represent a potential connection from I-15 that would allow direct access to the site. That wouldn't be possible unless the 1500 widening took place. And so that provides a really significant opportunity for us to bring in traffic into the city in an entirely different way without impacting 1500 and Riverdale Road, as well as further on down on Riverdale Road. So that's still in the works with UDOT, but that is something that is contingent upon this amendment being passed and moving forward with this type of infrastructure being built. You'll see on the top of the page, there's the bridge widening. Again, UDOT planned for bridge replacement, but the widening wasn't part of their scope of work, and so project area funds are meant to go support that project, which allows for greater traffic flow, which again facilitates growth in this area. And then the other lines represent the other infrastructure improvements that are necessary to take place, all of which are trunk line or main line infrastructure improvements that not only benefit the development that will happen here at West Bench with America First and other things, but also support other growth and benefit across the city with the water line and sewer line. So again, just to reiterate, project area in the yellow, the boundary is not being proposed to change. We are just recommending a change to the budget. Again, 100% participation for 17 years. We're actually recommending two changes, one of which is not the topic of tonight's discussion, but I like to bring it up because it is an automatic second step based on the decision that the board would make with the amendment. And that is the creation of a CRA, which would be north of the existing RDA. And a CRA is just the new vernacular for a redevelopment area. And we would come back to the RDA board at a future date to enact that. You've already passed a survey resolution that provides for that analysis and that study. Again, not the topic of tonight, but I do want to be transparent that there is another step in order for us to complete the full budget necessary to make these infrastructure improvements happen. Tonight's budget amendment is proposed to change from 100% to 80% for all the entities involved and go from 17 years to 22 years. In doing so, this would increase the cap budget of $9 million future value to about $51 million future value. Here's a side-by-side representation of that. So the base year would stay the same, the base valuation would stay the same, no increase in the project area. The cap would change from 9 million to 51 million, and it would go from 100 to 80 over 22 years. And again, that would facilitate almost $1 billion worth of investment from America First and others in that area. Just for reference here, I do have a benefit breakdown for each of the entities. This was discussed in our tech meeting with each of the entities present. In the case of Riverdale City, there's a significant benefit, as is the case with all the entities. Riverdale City would be asked to participate at a $7.5 million level. Because we haven't triggered the tax increment collection period since 2025, Riverdale City has been receiving the new growth valuation ever since the project area inception, as has been the case for all the entities. That amounts to about $490,000 that we've already received from this project area. Because it's an 80-20 split instead of 100%, which is what we're currently committed to, we would receive over the duration of those 22 years about $1.8 million based on the projected valuations of the new growth. So what that means is that today we're collecting about $66,000 for that area in the yellow. So all of the tax collection that Riverdale City receives is about $66,000 for that area. At the end of the 22-year period, it would grow to be about $547,000. So a significant change. If you were to just take those same 22 years and apply an annual average growth rate that is typical to an area like Riverdale, you would not even get close to the $547,000. And that's the case with all of the entities here. And again, as I mentioned, we will be going back to the tech once we have the proper appointments, ask the tech for a vote. We anticipate that they would vote in favor of this amendment, and then we would bring it back to you all as the board to make the final decision on the change. That's my presentation.
Any questions for Mr. Cooper? That was a lot, but it was well presented. It's a big change, but it's a big change to the project and what was going to go in there. It's still a little bit of a heavy lift to get all the tech board members on board, but hopefully they can take a long view and not be myopic and kind of get hung up and see this is $1 billion investment. If there's no questions, we could go ahead and open the public hearing, I guess. You're all done, right?
Yep, all done.
Okay. Any questions or comments at all from the board? Okay, we would need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor, say yes.
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 All right, the public hearing is now open. Seeing no comments, we would need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All right, the public hearing is now closed. All right, we do not have an item to act on tonight. Any comments from the board for this meeting? Mr. Stevens?
Were they going to present? Was there a presentation from America First? Or
We had them here just to answer questions if you had any, but we had planned on Brandon giving the presentation. I don't know if Kim or Adam wanted to add anything, but if you guys had questions for them, they're certainly here and available.
Well, I want to hear your presentation.
I don't have anything to present, but.
Sure, she's interested in your thoughts.
I'm interested if you have questions that Brandon didn't cover.
We continue to meet with all these people, even as recently as yesterday. We're in an afternoon meeting with the county commission, and this is just taking up a lot of work and time. I've had to pull Cody off the budget. That's one of the reasons why we've delayed it, because we've needed help in this part too, to relay the message on this. I mean, we're talking about vacant orchard land basically versus well-developed land, and that's what you get. If you want to stick with just grass and weeds, you don't make a lot of money off of that when it comes to property taxes. But this whole thing has just been such a project. I mean, when we started this thing out at $9 million, when Larry did that, we were looking at moving those power poles. We had no idea what was going to come in there at that time. And we've evolved from those days to possibly having warehouses over there to what we have now before us, which is a fantastic project. And we just hate to lose this, because in the long run, this is going to be a good benefit for Riverdale. And if we can bring people into Riverdale without plugging up Riverdale Road, this is the dilemma we've had, as well as overwhelming 4,400. I mean, it's a challenge, but I think we're heading in the right direction. We just got to convince everybody else that they need to join us here. So,
And not just a benefit for Riverdale, it really will benefit Weber County,
all
Central
of Weber
Sewer,
County,
the
right?
mosquito abatement, the school district.
Right.
Everybody will have a massive tax benefit off of this. Mr. Stevens.
The entities involved that you're talking about, Mr. Cooper, I'm familiar with most of them, but what do you mean by the tech? Who composes that?
Good question. So there's most of the entities individually represented. So you have 2 members of the Weber School District, 1 member from the Utah State School Board, 2 members of Riverdale City, 2 members from Weber County, and then an individual who actually works for Central Weber, who represents Central Weber Sewer District, and then the other smaller districts, so the 911 district, mosquito abatement, and
Is that what composes the tech?
that's the tech.
Okay.
And under the rules that govern the tech, they vote as a body. So it's an up or down vote, yes or no, based on the proposal, versus what the current law says, which is interlocal agreements with individual entities that want to participate. So it's a more difficult way to manage the proposal, because you have to get everyone on the same page, and they all want to participate at different levels, and they all have different concerns and questions. So it's taken a lot of time.
So, and anybody, if I look at my property tax bill, anybody who has a line there as a taxing entity that has a piece of the pie, of the property tax pie,
That's right.
is who you're referring to.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
I've never heard it referred to as tech before, and
It's an older term. It's been, how many years, Adam? 10, 12?
Tech still exists for old project areas, but in 2016, they essentially don't exist for new project areas, only in very, very limited circumstances. So it's the old way of doing things.
As I mentioned, we would be coming back to the board to propose the creation of a CRA, which is a community reinvestment project area, and that would be under the current rules, the current statute, and not governed by a tech. It would be governed by individual interlocal agreements with those taxing entities.
okay. Thank you for that explanation.
You're welcome.
Would have liked to have that slightly before this presentation, so I understood. But no, I'm okay. Now I'm following where you're at. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board?
Put a glossary in all your presentations.
It could be helpful, actually.
Me too, yeah.
Mr. Cooper is very sharp, and sometimes
Yeah,
Sometimes it's
I
hard to keep up with.
understand that
I
there are some
apologize.
people who assume that everybody knows, is on the depth of detail.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I apologize.
No, you're good.
Any comments from the city staff?
I have one question.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Cooper, can we get a copy of that presentation?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any comments from the city staff? And I don't have any comments, so we would need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
Someone else, please.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All right, we are adjourned.
Can you second?
I don't know. Can
Is he part of the,
Can I
part of the
second?
board? Can he second? Michelle, can you?